We will start with the fire department.
Oh, we have a.
Oh, wait a minute. Yes,
I
sorry.
move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second. Oh. What was it? Now I'll recognize our fire chief.
So, I have, information on the Knox box system again that we talked about last year. So I'm gonna give each one of the select board members a copy of this. So they look at it with me.
Okay.
So, the reason why we're discussing this again today is because we had an incident at the library today. So, Mr. Grenier and our inspection from MMA got locked in the elevator at the library. So, thankfully they're okay. But I'm sure it was a scary moment at first, but regardless, the situation was access to the building. Being that the library was closed, they went in, were doing their inspection, used the elevator, and then were stuck. So I presume at that time you either used your cell phone or used the phone built into the elevator.
Right.
And that being said, what that does is that activated 911 and then the fire department was dispatched. Because we had no keys, we had to do forcible entry. We ended up breaking the library door down and basically popping the door. And then in order to get into the elevator control room, we ended up breaking that door. So that was in order to get control access, get them out of the elevator. That's why these Knox boxes are so important. I'm not sure what damage we have. I haven't looked at the doors personally. No damage, lucky, very lucky. Because usually when we pop a door, what happens is that the lock mechanism gets destroyed. So they did a very good job to, one, you probably have good commercial doors up there, but two, it's usually not the case. You're talking a $1,200 door on average. I would recommend to the town, particularly for the town buildings, to make the investment in this Knox box system. What the Knox box does is it allows us to have, the town has been issued a key from the Knox box company. That key, the only people that can get access to that key are firefighters. Nobody else. If you were from another town and have a Knox box, their key does not fit our town. So in the town of Farmington, you're required on a commercial building in the town of Farmington to have a Knox box. It's not an option. Okay. Now, in this particular situation, I guess we were lucky today, so it didn't cost the town any excess time other than, lost time for Bob or whatever, but I'm not sure we'll be that lucky every time. If you take a standard door, usually there's quite a bit of damage, or you're going to take out a window, depending on whichever is easier access. So a Knox box, that particular one is $499. It holds 10 keys. And again, I would persuade, as we have a website that's active and accessible, I would persuade the town commercial businesses to do the same. And I would even suggest to homeowners, they have a residential version of this for the same reason. If you have a medical incident or you're not at home, the fire department can access your building. It's it's up to you. One way or another, we're getting in to try to address the situation. So, you know, any questions on that? Well, so that's a discussion to have with the school board, and with the district to, we don't have an ordinance in the town of Mount Vernon to force them to do it. Otherwise, it would be quite simple, right? But, without an ordinance, we can only make requests and that's it.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
I make a motion. I move that we purchase, we can expense that capital. Be a capital improvement. Talking $1,500 for 3 buildings.
Ramey, do we have undesignated funds?
No, it'd be capital.
Would it be capital?
It'd be a capital improvement.
I think we need these right away.
Yeah.
And not wait till budget.
Okay. So I would move that the town of Mount Vernon purchase 3 Knox boxes, one for the Mount Vernon Town Office, one for the Mount Vernon Library, for the Dr. Shaw Memorial Library, and one for the Mount Vernon Community Center.
Second. I'll second it.
Could you add, transfer station?
The only reason I would say against the transfer station is it's a $10 padlock.
Yeah, it's not
And-
worth $500.
Okay.
It's a $10 if, for the one time, we're gonna have to cut the padlock. Cut the padlock.
Okay.
Or
Second.
go around the gate.
We'll take a vote.
Wait, community comment?
Physically, how it works. One lock on the door, you know.
No. It's, the keys to the building are in this box. And then you unlock this box and you have the keys to the building.
Basically a lock for locks.
It's a key box.
Similar to a car dealership. They can go out to their cars and open the box and the key for the car is right there.
But it's basically, it's right next to the main entrance. So, like today, they would walk up, key in.
Yes, but it is basically a key safe that's mounted to the exterior of the building. And then, currently, I've set up the box. It's somewhat of a captive audience, Knox has the industry standard for it. And by them setting it up, basically what they've done is put the town of Mount Vernon. And they do that for like town of Farmington and any other municipality in the country that's doing the system. They issue the town key. So the fire department has been issued a key on our graves in a locked box. So that when the rig pulls up with rescue or fire, that they take that key out of that lock box and access the building.
They can pass on from that wide road.
No.
No.
No,
The only person who can ever access that box is the fire service. So they're saying the town's gonna turn over to me a library key. I will go up, I will put the key physically in the box myself. I will lock that and it will never open unless it's called. And then they, not even the town staff. At least, so the peace of mind is particularly for businesses, is that there's no access. They actually even have systems out there which are very expensive and probably not advantageous to Mount Vernon. But they actually got, it'll actually key fob. They have fancy enough that it says who opened the key box and when and how long it was open. And whether the key.
that's a pretty good.
So it's pretty robust system if you get into it really in depth. This is as basic as it is.
Ready to vote? Vote.
There's one more question.
There's 2 of them.
Yep.
Not a question, just comment. I'm in favor of the Knox box. But one of the, you mentioned about for residential, I'm in real estate, we use lock boxes all the time, different than a Knox box, but like my dad has the fall alert necklace and that number ties in and he can only that company has that code. This is just for the whole community. I think it's a good idea. And you just put the code in and then the fireman or the ambulance or whoever there can get in and get your parent or your spouse or whoever's there. So I'm in favor of it, that's all.
And, and to elaborate on that, what she's referring to, that when that situation is enacted, what happens is dispatcher asks the fire chief or the incident commander to call in. So that code is never released.
Gary?
Can you hear me or do I need to go again? Mike. For people online.
Too tall. Okay, I just wanted to point out, there isn't a capital fund per se. No idea. But I would suggest there's a capital fund for the municipal building. Or for the town hall, there is not one really for the library. They've used that for construction and that's gone. So it would have to come out of the operating fund for the library. And same way with the community center.
Yep.
So.
We'll work it out. Vote. Okay, permits, building permits, let's set that to the, ordinance review committee. They came back with their recommendations. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at them. What I would like to do is with their recommendations, I would like to schedule a public hearing at the next select board meeting and accept their recommendations. Basically, they took what I put out.
So the hearing would be to talk about that. Talk about the recommendation.
Correct.
And
Yep.
then,
And then approve them after that.
Well.
does that not have to go to a vote?
Yes, we were.
No,
No,
a town meeting.
Select-
no, we can, the ordinance itself, the ordinance itself allows us, the select board, to make changes. to
Okay,
that.
okay, yep.
And then what we will do after that, the next town meeting,
Yeah,
we will vote to put that, revise that table in the
in the,
land use ordinance.
so. But we're gonna make a change without updating the land use one
Correct. But
So-
we are allowed to make changes to that table.
during the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then update the ordinance at the next select board meeting, the next town.
I trust the ordinance. review.
I think it makes sense, except to say that I'd rather listen to the town first before we accept.
Right, we'll have to do, that's why we have to do a public hearing.
Sounds good. I think that's smart. I
I'll schedule it then.
think that's smart.
Okay.
This is for building permits, right? For
Building.
permit fee.
Yeah.
Fee increases.
Yeah.
Okay, liquor license application is due for the Edible Elements Catering. And all I need to do is get your approval to sign that application.
I move to approve the liquor license for Edible Elements Catering.
I second it.
Any comments? No. Vote. Okay, Dan, you're up.
ADA compliance. So at our last meeting, as you recall, Christopher kindly gave us an update at where, as his assessment of where the town is on ADA compliance. It was a bit of an eye-opening presentation. In lieu of Christopher's remarks, are moving, and I'm asking the board to approve a charter for a new compliance and ADA compliance committee. and I've given you all a copy of, the draft copy of what that would be, the purpose of the committee. The ADA Compliance Committee is established by Mount Vernon Select Board to help ensure that all town facilities, programs, and services are accessible to individuals with disabilities in accordance with the ADA Title II and related state laws. In brief, our responsibilities will include conducting a self-evaluation, the first step, developing a transition plan, advise on the policies and procedures of implementing that plan, promote accessible communications, seek funding opportunities and grant opportunities, and report to the select board. The membership will consist of 5 to 7 community members, and as you know, I've pulled together 5 volunteers. And we would hold meetings. It says in this that we would hold them at least quarterly. We expect to begin probably meetings every 2 weeks, no more than meetings every month, no less than meetings every month. So I'm asking the board to approve this plan for the committee.
I make a motion that we adopt the plan and accept the ADA
There's a comment.
committee. Let's do the motion
We need a
first.
motion and a second for a discussion.
Okay, discussion.
I'm interested to know who's gonna do the work for something to get done. My initial objective was very simple. And, just looking at, the 3 primary buildings here. The town office, the library. Park, the building safely, without leaving the building. With that. And that's pretty simple. It doesn't take long. So what you're outlining for the committee is an extremely broad and complicated undertaking. When you include all the different buildings in a community and you start looking at employee contractors, then it becomes extremely complicated. The general ADA rule is 140 pages. That document references a lot of others. You have building codes. You need someone that has structural engineering capabilities. And there's a lot of, it's complicated. And so it's going to take hundreds of hours. It's going to take a lot of people, a lot of time to do what you're proposing. And so I'm wondering who's going to do all that work. And,
Well, I think that's very helpful. I think that should be something, and Christopher's on the committee, he's agreed to serve on the committee. I think that would be something that the committee should discuss right off the bat. That is to say, what should we triage? What are the steps that we should take that are really important, that are critical right now? Sort of what are the intermediate steps and what are the long-term steps? I get your point. There's a lot to it here. I think the first step is to convene the committee, have that discussion, report back to the board on where we think we should go. We've been delinquent, this town has been delinquent in addressing these issues. So the committee's a step to do that. But I get what you're saying. It's a big undertaking. I don't know, Christopher, I think would be great if at the first meeting, we had a discussion about that. And if you're passionate about focusing on 3 things first, maybe that's what we should go. That's what the committee should discuss. Does that make sense?
to a point, but some of it we already know. For example, to get into this building, I have to go out into the road in the dark behind SUVs. People can't see me. I don't understand why you're not doing something about that right now. It's dangerous. It puts lives at risk. it doesn't need a meeting to have a discussion about it. So I'm puzzled. You have known about this for a while, and you've chosen with the parking and the access out here, you've known about it. So far, you've talked about it, which is good, and all that you're talking about, I'm 100% supportive of. But I'm wondering what else you need for information to make a decision about this. What exactly don't you have that you need? I mean, I've given you the design for space, the minimum ADA requirements. I've listed everything that needs to be done to do that. And you could do some of it really simple without spending hardly any money, so I'm puzzled. I'm just wondering how long it's gonna take to understand this, that one, do something.
I know it might take the first meeting. I mean, you say you know about that. Honestly, no, since last week's in 2 weeks. You know, I knew that the plans were underway. You know, I know they're.
In writing. It showed this, the exact dimensions, measurements.
So let me ask, so what you were saying last week was that we should do what you've laid out. Was that what you were telling us 2 weeks ago?
No,
Because I had this feeling that you were saying 2 weeks ago that we should take ADA compliance seriously and that we should convene a committee to explore these issues. That's exactly what we've done in 2 weeks. We've got 7 people that are involved, a couple of them are here. So I say, let's roll up our sleeves, Christopher, and get at it. Let's do this. You're on the committee. Let's have that first meeting. You know, we're doing a doodle poll, trying to figure out when we can do that. Let's do it.
oh, today I'll be happy with the decision. It just makes me wonder. So I hope when you get that meeting together, you have questions you need to figure out what you're gonna do out here. It's puzzling to me. All the rest of it is obviously extraordinarily important. I just don't know what else.
Well, Sherry's on the committee, as you know. And so is Jane Rogers, two community center people. So let's have that conversation and move that forward. The people that are invited to be on this committee are not just talkers, Chris, and you're not just a talker either. We aim to do stuff. We aim to get this done. This isn't a blowhard sort of thing. Right? I'm looking at Maggie again. Right, Maggie? She's on the committee.
It might not have. We all need to sit down and hear your thoughts, and we need to be a bunch of people who have different backgrounds, different educations, who all feel here. We're all in favor of this. It's gonna be.
Next time, just, you gotta get 3 quotes.
Yeah.
Okay, you wanna
Gotta-
do the nominating?
Do I have to do that?
Or do you
Uh,
want
We
me
don't
to?
think we do that, in the committee, do we?
No, they have to be nominated by the board.
Right now, all right, so I nominate for membership on the committee, Sherry Wenzel, Christopher Root, Maggie Stokes, Jane Rogers, Dave Sanders, Dick Watson, and Dan Shea. I nominate myself.
You can serve as ex officio. Second,
Vote.
we also need to vote on the charter.
I didn't, who seconded the charter?
I seconded it. Oh, we need to vote on the charter as well.
You do.
You're gonna lump that all as one vote?
You want to, you?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just lump it as one vote.
Does Peggy agree with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay.
So we have the names that we're signing off, on
Yep.
those names.
Right here.
Thank you, Remy, for doing
Yep.
that.
That was efficient. Thank you.
Got something to say. NIMS Fire Department came to us last meeting and they want to get us, the select board trained in NIMS is a training that allows the fire department basically to conduct themselves at fire scenes, correct?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's required for grants.
And select people can get that same training, only it's not quite as in detail as the fire department get. I talked with the state, no, the county emergency manager. I forget her name now, Angela, I think it is. Yep. She put me on a list and will contact me either in December or January for in-person, or if a Zoom meeting comes up, I'll be contacted. Now, Zoom could be outside of Kennebec County and we get notified. So it's, I think it's about 3 hours. I went to one in Waterville. Yes.
Hours. This is different, but it's a G191 and
Yep.
That
Yep. We don't get tested. Right.
Whereas the fire service, we got some that do
Yep.
online.
Yep. You get tested, we don't.
Very nice.
So it's not that bad. Okay.
Yeah, just let me know, because I need probably 2 weeks' notice for work.
Okay. Social media.
Yep.
Media.
So last meeting,
Question first.
Oh, whoop, sorry.
No, because people at home can't hear on Zoom. I just didn't know what the acronym stands for, NIMS. Thank you.
It does away with things like 10-4 and 10-10 and all that stuff. They try to make it so that most people will understand what commands are given. It's very structured for them.
So it elaborates. So it elaborates a system that at their level, it's when I have an incident that's large enough, every incident that we utilize the National Incident Management System, it could be as little as a tree on a wire. It still activates that system. As the situation gets larger, what happens is now I need logistics, I need liaisons to have spokesperson to the media. That's when I rely on the select board to help me. I need, if we had a natural emergency here, such as a flooding in the village, what kinds of funds do we need to get enabled for us for emergency action? And so that's where the select board would come in, is they would help activate emergency funding. At the same time, our director of emergency management, which is here in town. We have a local EMA, emergency management director. He would be assisting with all the paperwork, getting resources that may not be local. So that's
The big
what.
example they gave us was when Farmington had that big explosion. They set this program up. The Waterville chief came in and helped.
Yes.
The Augusta chief came in. So the system is built so that these different chiefs could come right in and melt right into the system.
Yeah,
So
we
it made
work
it real
as
good.
one. The incident management system enacts mutual aid agreements.
Yep.
And that could be as little as local with our mutual aid partners as far as out as national, if necessary, so.
It just keeps us all above board.
Yep.
God forbid something happens.
Okay, Tyler.
Yep, so after the last meeting, there was some further concerns with social media. I've met with all of the department heads that have existing social media, and the concerns that were raised about negativity online, were not, they have had no evidence of that on their pages. And I've spoken with about 150 members of the community. All but 5 of them have advocated for an official social media presence because of its ease of access. And the ability to have that information a lot quicker and more readily available than the library. I've also done research, and it was discussed that Reedfield was discussing bringing their social media down. They may be discussing that internally, but there has been no community, local or in the state, that has rescinded their social media profiles in full. They may have changed how they use it. And I would, I wouldn't argue against that if once we have it, making changes as it goes. But again, I'm gonna move that the town adopt the social media policy for elected officials and the town social media use policy is presented last meeting again.
So just to be clear, you're asking us to revisit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly because we're using it now.
Yeah, well, it's, to be honest, I'm not all that. I'm 6 of one, 7 of the other. I'm not hell bent on. I am concerned that it's an avenue for negativity,
So
and there's a lot of simmering
So, but-
negativity in this town, more than I thought, to be honest. But if 150 members of the community think it's the way to go, and there are 2 other things. One is that we can do the very best we can to block those comments we've talked about. Right? I actually finished the meeting last time and I said, I wonder if there's social media you can use other than Facebook, because you've told us that Facebook you can't block Facebook. Is that correct?
you can't block on Facebook or any Meta, so that would include Instagram.
Right. Well,
I
so,
think on Twitter you can, but again, when it comes to the blocking, there's some First Amendment issues there that MMA have basically, when I talk to them, have advised against it. You can put in filters for racial like epithets and things along that line, but if it starts moving into, if it borderlines on criticism, you're gonna run
First Amendment, sure.
First Amendment. So I think, and when during the roll-up process, I'd work with MMA on those content filters. So that way there, it's limited to racial epithets or other derogatory language, but I think the big thing to realize with it is somebody can comment on the page, but you don't have to read it. I mean, people, it's there. If it's bad enough, you address it at a public meeting. But I think a lot of the negativity that's festered in town is because it's on a unregulated group. It's not coming from the town. When in the areas that we're not seeing the negativity are on the community center page, on the library page, on the fire department page, it's coming from the town.
Yeah.
The air where we've seen negativity around the town office and the transfer station is it's coming from personal accounts. It's secondhand information. There's not that the town of Mount Vernon said the library is closed today for X reason. It's out there. It's stated as that's the reason. And it takes that gray area out of it, because when the town office is closed and there's nothing out there, people can post whatever they want and there's no, you have to balance out misinformation with accurate information. If you just say, we're not gonna balance it out at all, and we're just gonna ignore it together, you allow that to fester. And I think doing this in a structured way, and on the 4th motion I'm gonna make would give it a through the fiscal year and then review it at the end of the
Okay, that
fiscal
was
year
my
on
other-
Facebook.
All right, so my
You
other
too.
thought was
It's one of the
a
changes.
yearly review.
Yep, and then there's also if you look at 8, it would establish a communications committee to evaluate.
Okay, all right, so that's a concern I have. What are we gonna do about the negativity? Can we review it in a year? The other piece I had, is the content, and that is, the solution or the route we're gonna take is that Tyler Dunn's gonna do.
No, that's, so.
Have you
right-
changed that too?
That wasn't how it was.
I thought you were gonna be the
No,
one doing it.
So I would be the select board point of contact, but Megan would have access to post for her related stuff because she uses her personal account now to announce dump closures. Heather and Kelly have used their Facebook in the past to announce town office closures and other issues with the town office. They would have access to that. Remy would have access as the town administrative assistant
Okay,
on that page. And then the community center, library and fire department would keep their pages
okay.
separate. Yeah.
Well, those are my concerns. I'll probably abstain, so we'll pass, but it is just, it's not great form to revisit something that was voted down the next meeting when one of the members that voted it down isn't here. But I know we weren't doing that on purpose, Tyler, you just want to get it done. I'll probably abstain, so that'll probably do it for you, and we'll just see how it goes. Community comments.
Social media isn't just about efficiency. You probably know this. If you understand how it works, in particular Facebook, you'll understand that it's algorithmically driven. What gets promoted is what creates controversy and conflict, anger. So using this as a mechanism for communication essentially opens up the community to the kinds of things the algorithm promotes. If you don't understand this, if you don't give this serious consideration, you're doing things to yourself, to us, to the community that you will regret profoundly. So just my word of caution. I mean, particularly if you're going to abstain, Carl's not here. I'd urge you to table this, to wait. Don't do this. This is a bad move. My view.
Thank you for those comments. And we do know there are studies. I mean, it's not just algorithms, it's algorithms that promote negativity. They charge a particular part of the brain that keeps you into it. That's what it does. Negativity keeps you attached to that domain.
The only thing we're putting on is the transfer station is going to be closed.
Well, but
We're not putting down.
but the comments, it's not that what we will put down, it's the comments that will follow it. But Kat.
So I just have a question, then a comment. What is the purpose of having a Facebook page for the town?
So right now we have a lot of communication methods that are opt-in. You have to go to the website. You have to know that the website exists. You have to have Spectrum TV to view Channel 7. You have to go to the town office or go to the library or sign up for the newsletter. You don't just receive the newsletter. All of these communication strategies require people to opt in. By having a passive presence of announcing things out, it allows that message to get out sooner and faster on critical issues like dump closures, like transfer stations, like announcing absentee voting, all of these and other areas like that. That's why the fire department's already using it. It's why the community center's already using it. It's why the library's already using it. It's why town employees are using it to post announcements already. All this policy does is it brings it under the control with oversight, with accountability, and ensures that the message that the elected officials of this town want to go out around certain issues is the message that's being presented when those messages goes out, because they're already going out.
So the system that Carl's working on where people would like get a blast out of information, that is an opt-in information, but that's another, and to me, that's a lot safer. you're saying that this, you would have control of this. You won't. And I will give you an example of two different things that have happened recently. RSU 38, they have their own, as you know, Facebook page. And when this whole issue that you probably all know about it with the superintendent and the principal was going around, there were some pretty nasty things on the RSU 38 Facebook page that supposedly is controlled by RSU 38. To me, it's a bad idea, and we know the research is showing that social media is bad for your mental health. And if we're going to bring this into our town, I think it's just, you all work real hard to make this a community where everybody is really heard and listened to respectfully. And I think if we start opening up these kinds of things, that's going to cause divisiveness more than it already has in the town. So I think, and I want it on record, it's a bad idea.
I'll rephrase we already are using it as a town.
Yeah, but we're only using it for the fire department and the library
And the community center.
and the community center, which tend to be
But,
non-controversial.
and we have town
topics.
employees using it to post out the same announcements that we're already gonna post out.
Well, I don't think that town employees should use their Facebook to post town
We
business.
don't have a policy.
Well, then we should have a policy. We should discuss a policy on that.
That's what this policy is.
No, this policy is to create our own
Nope.
social media.
It's.
So are you say we'll have no social media after
So
we pass this?
the policy gives the town the ability to establish it. I have secondary to establish specific pages. But until you have a policy, you can't do any of that. That's what I've been trying to get across. Like, until we have a policy, we can't, we want to have a YouTube page to put all the meeting minutes on. That's social media. We need to have a policy to be able to do that. Instead of having people have to type in the links or email Carl for the archive, it's all on YouTube. It's all right there. You just grab it. When the new meeting comes out, it's in your YouTube feed. That's how the school board does it, and it's been wildly successful. But again, without a policy to govern how we use it, we're in the Wild West.
So to be clear, so what you're saying is if we pass the first part of your proposal, we could then
You can vote against the Facebook.
vote
post.
against the Facebook. Okay, that's different.
That's how I've been presenting it all along.
Sorry, if I misunderstood that, I apologize. I thought we were voting on creating.
No.
Kelly?
No.
Carrie?
Okay. I just wonder because if we have a better way of posting on the website, then it makes it clear rather than just town office closed, dump closed. Oh, no, we have more than 2 lines. So it goes below and you don't see the space we have for announcements like that is very, very small on the website. If you establish, and this goes to the second part, if you do establish a social media, I don't think there's anything wrong with Kelly or Remy or Bob posting on the Mount Vernon Facebook. Oh, by the way, go check the Mount Vernon website, the official information. I don't think there's anything wrong with posting people with that. If you establish a Mount Vernon Facebook, people have to follow it or whatever. There's a ton of, I don't get the RSU things on my Facebook. So unless somebody follows it or has something that attaches them to the Mount Vernon Facebook, they're not going to get any of the notices anyway. So that's why I'm very much in favor of just making the Mount Vernon website more robust and a little bit more informative.
Well, that is something we talked about last week.
Yeah.
It's a little bit it's a tricky question. As I said, I'm 6 on one, 7 on the other, and I just think Carl should be part of this. I know that's frustrating, Tyler, but I mean, he was one of the ones that did vote against it. And if we move forward on that now without him here, 2 weeks later, I think that's bad form. So can we table this for 2 more weeks and encourage community members, if anybody watching are to speak up? Maybe they're thoughtful comments on both sides of this. Would you be okay tabling that, Tyler?
Okay.
You have to vote on it?
Okay, questions have come up about the steel and the granite from the Blake Hill Bridge and what to do with it. I'm not sure.
Is it valuable?
Not really.
I mean, if it's not valuable, I mean, there's a resident that wants it, right?
It's not a resident, it's a group that wants it. Or a project. A
There-
private project.
There's both, actually. A resident does want it
Yeah.
and a group wants it. There are two different people
So
who have
I-
requested it since the Blake Hill
Why
Bridge.
don't they come forward and make the request to us and we'll see. what we can
One of
do.
them made the direct request to Carl, who is
Yeah.
not here tonight.
Right.
Well, they need
That's
to
the one I
come to,
thought.
they need to come to a public meeting and make a formal request.
I guess in the meantime, I'd like to know how much it's worth. I mean, if it's worth $25, a couple hundred, maybe $100, then fine, but it's 300 or 500 or $1,000, it goes back to the town.
I mean, from what I understand, the project is to put riprap in. The project for the rocks is to put riprap in at the old rope swing. You're talking some pretty serious money that would have to be raised for that, and I don't think that the communities had a weigh in on whether or not they want to use town resources to do that project. I know there's been a lot of concerns that the rope swing has been destroyed effectively in the name of erosion control there in that little spot.
Yeah, so we wait.
Yeah, I think it should be weighted and no decision.
Okay,
The rope swing was taken down due to it being on a dead branch, just so that.
But
everyone-
it's been an ongoing issue with the rope swing for years now of erosion control efforts impeding on people's use of it. And there's been a lot of community concern around that.
But there's. Okay. Sorry.
okay. Future paving.
Yep, so I've had a couple of concerns raised about the recent paving on CV Corner. It's more so a policy looking forward. We'd already signed the contract on CV Corner. And it goes back to if we're gonna spend money on projects that we do build roads the right way. We basically on the CV Corner Road skim coated it, which is we just paved over the existing asphalt. And we didn't do any of the find any of the underlying problem areas and dig those out. And concern was raised to me that within a couple of frost cycles, all of those underlying issues are just going to basically wreck the road again. And we'll be back where we started. It was my understanding at town meeting that we were going to spend a lot of money this year on beginning the process of doing that on Sadie Dunn Road. And I think there was a lot of confusion as to why we skim coated CV Corner Road and not begin the process of ripping up Sadie Dunn and rebuilding that road the right way. When CV Corner also needs the same treatment and so does the Bean Road.
Okay. CV Corner was paved 2 coats. So basically 1.5 inches was the first coat and the second coat was 1.5 inches. Ended up with a little bit more than that. Some sections had almost 5 inches of paving. Sadie Dunn is scheduled for they're gonna chew it up, reprocess the tar first thing next summer. And then it will be, they're gonna dig up all the rocks, or whatever is causing the problems on, the Sadie Dunn Road. And then, it will be paved at the end of the summer.
But it's a broader concern though. It's a broader issue.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Because,
but that's.
so I had
that's
that,
so
I had
far.
the same phone calls, Tyler, and
Mhm.
I called Lee. And Lee said, we're in good shape. You know, we're gonna put deep, we're gonna lay it deep, we're gonna do several inches and the two coats and so I was in a tough spot, you know, I've got someone that's I think's pretty smart, fairly well convinced that we should grind it up and do it differently. And we've got a road commissioner saying, no, 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 don't worry, Dan, we're all set. So the broader issue, I think what you're getting at, Tyler, is to what extent does the select board have some say in this stuff?
I don't even think it's a broader say, it's a, how does the town go about infrastructure projects? I mean, I think it's one thing to, when you have a road that's been rebuilt, recrowned, had drainage issues addressed, say 5, 10 years ago, getting coded. It's another thing when that hasn't happened in the last 20 years. And there's known drainage issues on CV Corner Road, down through the stretch coming from Horn Construction. And we just pave over it. Because as soon as we get a frost cycle, all those rocks, all those drainage issues are gonna come right back and wreck the road. So I think it's more, yes, we have finite amount of resources, but it's, if we're going to have paved roads in the town of Mount Vernon that we own and we pave and we maintain, that if we spend the money the right way to ensure that they last and that the underlying road foundations are done correctly. I think that's the broader concern. Like I said, I think it's too late this year for CB Corner Road. And I think the other concern is that at town meeting, it was discussed that the funding from this year's paving money was going to go towards chewing safety done this year, not next year. Because now we have to go through another budget cycle and approve the funding to do that before it can happen.
Okay,
So that way we're not, and then we end up paving in October versus when it's a lot easier to pave in August. So I think there's gotta be a little bit more planning around when we do paving projects. And I think a lot of it stems from the fact that we have a fiscal year that doesn't align with calendar year. And our fiscal year ends in the middle of roadwork season. So you're always trying to stretch the budget to make it to June. And that's when the budget's empty, when you need to start all of those projects. So I think we need to also look at when we're scheduling funding for projects, let's start at well. So that way we're funding projects in June for next May, not funding projects in June to start in July to hopefully finish in by August. We're rushing up against the snow. That's why the bridge is like a bridge on top of the steel. It can't get finished this year because we're getting this, we couldn't authorize the purchase until July 1st. We got hung up at the state, delayed us a month till August. Steel's not getting ordered till September, and now it's getting delivered in November.
I wonder if we could ask the road commissioner to give a presentation to the town, maybe the special hearing, where we can lay out the plans. See, because what we're running into, Tyler, is he's our expert. He's our expert. I don't know anything about laying road work. I got a sense, you know, but that's just a sense. So if we were at a meeting where we could just have a discussion like we did with the snow, that might be helpful, don't you think? What are you thinking for Sadie Dunn? What are you thinking for CV?
Well, and I think it goes back to we don't have a 5-year road plan. We don't have we don't have a 5-year capital plan. So we're putting money into capital projects, but we have no thought going through. I mean, we have the comprehensive plan, but that really doesn't go into detail on this building is X years old, it needs this maintenance, and it's been deferred for this long. And this is what it cost today. Assume inflation adjustments against that and go forward. I mean, we have, with the exception of the town office and the library, our we're gonna be due for major building work. Fire station, major building work, transfer station. This, we're in the process now of modernizing this building. And we've got, the Bean Road still hasn't, we still haven't fully gone through a full paving cycle of the Bean Road. And that's the longest road in town. We haven't done a paving cycle of Wings Mills or Bartlett. We haven't done, we've skim coated, CV corner, so that's probably good for 4 or 5 years before we'll have to address it again. But we've done this corner the right way. Where they dug it up, they ground it, all the rocks out. That road's as good as when it started. So I think it's more. And again, I'm in, we don't have one right. We have a road. And I think it's imperative that before we enter a budget cycle and we appropriate $1 million to road maintenance, because with the plowing contractor, it's $1 million budget now in road maintenance. That we have an idea before we vote. It's this project, this project, this project with these start dates.
Well, that's the time to do it.
I agree. I agree.
I don't know how we approve a road budget without project plans. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Should we give Lee a heads up that during budget season, we like that plan?
I mean, road work's gonna be closing up here in the next couple of weeks. Now I'll make a motion if you want one. That I'd like it probably in February. Because that gives us March and the beginning of April to discuss. Okay, it's gonna cost X, we have Y to spend, how do we reconcile those two? Cause I don't think we're gonna be looking for a big increase in the road budget or any budget this year. Probably close to inflation, if not flat. Inflation's we'll just call it 3%. So if we don't want a budget decrease, money is worth 3% less than it was last year. So that means in order to pay people, in order to buy material, it's gonna cost on average 3% more to run the town.
So do we need a motion for that or should we just
You don't need a motion for
a
that.
chat with Lee?
You don't need a motion.
Bob, you want to chat with
Wrote
Lee?
it down. What's that?
Want to ask Lee about that?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
February?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
How much was the skim coat there?
240,000?
I don't know.
Because it was, I think the original bid was 220, and then there was an addendum.
That was for multiple, that was for the skim coat on CV plus the end of Ethel Gordon plus, so it's a combo of all of the locations.
Right, but see, so I'll still stick with, because it was, again, it's a skim coat at the end of
Yeah.
Ethel Gordon.
That was the longest road. I think it came out to like 134 for that road specifically.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
that one, and we did the tail end of Ethel Gordon Road for 240,000. Ethel Gordon Road. Ethel Gordon Road, sorry.
I don't remember.
It was bad though. Anyway.
Maybe a mile.
That's a good question, Remy. We should get a copy of Lee's bill so that we know what he did the last 2 weeks.
Okay, you guys motioned and approved. It's in the meeting minutes from
What's that?
whatever time that it was, what was budgeted to each.
No, each payroll. So we should get a copy of it so that we know what he did the previous 2 weeks.
He doesn't submit that, so you
You
should.
can get a payroll.
he
did
is-
payroll,
he
but
has-
it doesn't-
He has submitted nothing.
Oh, he did, okay,
Yeah, so if you'll get a copy if he submits it, but
okay.
we haven't received that.
Again,
Yep.
if we have a document,
Yeah,
and it doesn't, I think I made this point. in August. Doesn't need to be a long document. 5, 6 pages. This is what I did this year. This is what I'm gonna do. This is areas of concern. And here's some maps and addendums.
Well, Tom and I can help them because we did the driving. Okay, town office closing. You brought that up.
Yeah, I think it's, and Kelly's here. It was more, a concern just around, election closures and how that all works, how the decision was made for 2-day closures versus partial days versus, because last year it was closed, I believe the day of election day and the day after. This year it's the day before and day out, day of. Okay, it was. Okay. And okay. And again, I thank you for that. And I think it's just more, I think it's more for us to work with the clerk's office to have a more clear policy going forward for every year. So that way there it's consistent. And that we just know in advance that we can make a more advanced announcement. Okay.
I think the problem was, I think Carl thought it was both days were election related. But you're telling us. Oh. Oh, I see, because Heather was, gotcha. Okay, but because Heather was away on an emergency, got it. Got it.
So they supposed to send a vote here.
Oh,
So I told them voting was going on.
yeah,
The way.
good.
We all set?
Yep.
Public comment. I have something from Ona Fask.
I have I put in front of you all a code of ethics for the select board. Lots of other towns have them. They're not a real contentious sort of policy, but it is an important policy because policies in general, as Tyler has illustrated, as Bill Butler has illustrated, policy is important because it gives a framework and a foundation for other decision-making processes. And I brought this more than a year ago to the select board. And I don't believe anybody but Bob glanced at it and it was gone. So I have taken the liberty of creating this preamble, which is very comprehensive. It's not, and there's not a lot of legalese embedded in it. It's pretty simple and straightforward. It's simply asking for a code of conduct and an ethical process to make decisions and to interface with committees, commissions, and the citizens. And I'm asking that this become one of the town's policies because we don't have a policy for the select board. We have policies for the employees. We have a policy for all manner of other things. But there's nothing that stands alone to interface with all of that. And really policy is the foundation. It's the foundation that all other things have to stand on because it sets out the how, when, where, and why. So I'm here giving each one of you a copy so we can't say didn't get one. And I'm asking you to seriously consider this immediately. That's what I had to say.
Thank you.
So there it is.
Yep, I also have one from another town, Acton. And it looks very similar to what you have. Yep. Yep.
Overbought.
Nope. Nope, I think it. Yep. And as you know, it takes us a while to do policies, but we're working on it.
Decision to say, yes, we need this, and then you go and do everything else.
Yeah, if everyone's okay with it, I'll get a scan of this and go through, check for spelling. I'll bring back a revised copy for Monday. I'll also check with MMA if they have a draft.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I was gonna pull MMA. MMA, most towns use MMA as their base,
Yeah.
so I was gonna pull MMA's base policy and go from there.
I was gonna say they have a policy.
Yeah,
Yep.
I can check with Reedfield. I'll check with Reedfield and Belgrade.
I didn't see refill, but yeah, there's a bunch of them available. Yep, Ed.
Policy for citizens' behavior and citizens' ethics, when citizen comments, I know that on the school board, there was a policy that actually forced you to read every meeting.
We do.
Explaining what was expected from the audience when they were speaking to the board.
We do.
pulling that right
Citizen
now.
comments can only be made during this period here. We can hear from the citizens during our proceedings, but we don't have to. This is the time right now that we allow. And it's, we can limit it to 3 minutes just so that we can move things along. But
Content.
So I know what-
Here, I pulled it.
right,
Speak,
absolutely.
I can read, it lists, again, it's not, the copy uploaded is not signed, but I'll double check the minutes that it was, it did pass?
It
Yeah.
did.
Okay. The signed copy didn't get uploaded. Speakers will be required to identify themselves by stating their name, first and last, and resident address, prior to sharing their comments. Speakers will be asked to not be repetitious of comments already made to the select board in the interest of most efficient use of time. Any comment by the public shall be limited to the expression of opinions or concerns regarding the agenda item. All comments should be directed to the chair. No public comment shall be allowed, which has the effect of embarrassing or attacking the character of any individual or board member. No complaints or allegations will be allowed in allowed in public concerning any staff member or persons connected to the town of Mount Vernon. And then it has 2 sections for complaints will be referred to blank and unresolved issues will be brought up to blank in the policy. So we may need to go in and amend that policy as well.
Both ways. Yep.
And again, it's 3, public input shall occur at and this it says at the beginning, so we may need to modify that going forward. Shall occur at the beginning of the select board meetings and limit to 3 minutes for each individual speaker and not to exceed 30 minutes of public comment session. But the board chair may extend that at their discretion.
Ona?
It also states that the select board has the expectation that the people that have joined in and others that have joined in are to follow the same footprints of ethical conduct and behavior. That's written in this, well, it does have to go both ways, it doesn't make that okay.
Anybody else? Harry?
Okay, this is kind of an off topic that I just want to get you all to start thinking about. But the select board has to approve all expenditures as they're voted at the town meeting or a special town meeting. You can't use that asset without the town's approval. We have very little town property as an asset, actual real estate. And that's the town beach. I think the veterans thing is municipal property, the town hall, and some land around the school. I think before we get ourselves into a pickle and one group thinks, oh, we'll use this for this and this for this, that we should make it in the future, going forward, very quickly, that the asset of the towns, which includes the town real estate, should not be modified access, use, or aesthetics without approval from the town, not just the 5 select board. So that's my suggestion, and I think we should have some discussions about it, so.
Should be given, yeah.
So.
Yep.
John Waleski, 462 Point Drive. Anyway, spent 5 years in the Navy as a nuclear submarine, as a missile technician working with nuclear weapons. What's that got to do with the town code of ethics? Well, something called the Nuclear Weapons Safety Manual. It was about 500 pages of sawdust, but it pretty much covered every single possible situation you might ever have with a nuclear weapon, which is probably an important thing. Going through this policy, it just seems like it's a lot more rigorous than it needs to be, especially when the bottom line is that if a citizen doesn't like a particular select board member or their policies or whatever, the simplest option is just basically not to vote for them. Thank you.
You were talking about the ethics policy? Oh, okay. Any other comments or questions? Or I wanted to bring up one thing, another thing. We had a bill that we paid on the Blake Hill Bridge the other day, last payroll. It was over 200,000, and we received the 60% back from the state. So we are starting to get money back. Gary?
Yeah.
Anything else? What's that?
It's
No, these
delayed
are
till
engineering
November
costs.
15th.
The 15th.
Engineering costs.
So and I'm gonna be quoting Carl on this, so correct me if I'm wrong. From what I've understood is they're gonna basically build as much of the bridge as they can, minus paving it over and putting down the membrane between the concrete and the asphalt, because that can't take a freeze thaw cycle until it's covered, which was always the delayed. If this got delayed, we always knew that this was what was gonna happen. So what will happen is they'll build as much of the bridge as they can, seal the bridge over for the winter, so it'll remain closed through the winter. And then as soon as spring hits, it would be one of the first paving jobs because all that's got to be done is paved. And the reason, the delay has been the steel, because the steel order was late.
It's not a big bridge. It's not very big. I can lay down and almost cover the whole bridge. So it won't take long. That I will get an email from the contractor when they want the bridge closed, physically closed, and then I will notify DOT. They will take their signs down and we'll be off to the running. So it should be,
Carl
Close
said
to
last week
15.
when they said the 15th.
Yep.
Yeah.
so.
Move to adjourn.
I
Yeah,
move
hope
to
so.
enter executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA section 405 subsection 6 subsection A to discuss a personnel matter.
Second. 5 minutes.
That shouldn't take long.
Yeah.